We're back at it with another live stream doing an Ultraman stream for Ultramonth. Talking
Yep.
about what would you like to see for Ultraman crossing over with.
Yep.
Today we got your boy Gojin the Makai Phantom, the head boy for the live stream. We got Cody back, and you got your boy Abyss Kaiser back. What's going on, everyone?
Abyss is taking over the channel, confirmed.
But essentially what we're going to do today is as Abyss Kaiser stated, we're going to be talking about stuff that should cross over with the Ultra series and how and why it would work. Me, I already got my picks down, Cody's got his, and Abyss Kaiser, he's got some that he's told me, so this should be a very, very interesting discussion, I think, especially when there's a lot of stuff in this world that could make a solid collab with Ultraman. But anyway,
Absolutely.
But let's allow Abyss Kaiser to go first.
Oh, no question, Evangelion, right from the get-go.
Okay.
I mean, for God's sake, it's literally probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest inspiration for the anime.
Oh yeah, it is. Like, a lot of mecha snobs like to go on about, oh, Evangelion takes inspiration from other things. It's like, yeah, it does, but here's the thing. Its biggest inspirations aren't those giant robot shows you're sucking off. Its inspirations, though it has some in there, is Ultraman. So get off your high horse and watch some Ultra series if you want to act high and mighty. That's how I see it. But yeah, I think I even heard a quote that I'm not sure how legit this quote is, but I think according to August Ragoon, I just have his words, so take it with a grain of salt, that Anno described Eva as a subversion of Ultraman, which I already know it has a lot of inspiration on. Anno is a massive Ultra nerd. In fact, the first product Anno has touched in his life was Ultraman. It was a little fan film for this one company that later evolved into Gainax, which started making shows like Evangelion later on, where it was called The Return of Ultraman. So yeah, Anno is a massive Ultra nerd, and it serves as a big inspiration for it. And it really does show in the combat. Many people even described Eva as the Shin Ultraman before, well, Shin Ultraman.
Yeah, and I mean, it's about, like, fighting giant aliens and shit. Giant alien monsters, and that's what Ultraman does all the time. Or, like, Alien Max, and it's a bit of both here, so yeah. It would fit right the fuck in for Evangelion crossover.
Yep, and the religious symbolism in both.
Yeah.
Which would definitely work with Nexus, because Evangelion essentially did what Nexus later did, was take the religious symbolism and older Ultra stuff and darken it up for later entries. So yeah, that is something that would make for a perfect collab. Hell, especially when you look at the combat.
Yep.
But is there anything else you have to say about Evangelion, Cody?
I'd be down for it. It sounds like it could be a cool concept, and we might be getting it anyways if your theories about the Shin Heroes universe are true.
Yep. Hell, I'm not sure, I'm a bit skeptical on that after credits someone told me about, but I keep hearing about a line that talks about a giant monster being taken to Antarctica so he doesn't wake up, and a weird humanoid, what's the word I'm looking for? A weird humanoid, grasshopper? What's Kamen Rider again? Is he a grasshopper?
Yeah, he's, like, supposed to be like a grasshopper thing.
Yes.
Yeah, grasshopper or beetle. It depends on the incarnation, and I heard a lot of things that were talked about that, so I'm almost certain it is, but again, no confirmation yet, so right now, still works into the speculation thing.
Now, yeah. I gotta say, even though I was lost for words earlier, I legit would be curious to see what a Ultraman Evangelion crossover would look like. Even though I wasn't the biggest fan of the show, I'm still not. I did end up liking the Rebirth movies a whole lot more. So because of how much the Rebirth movies surprised me, I would be genuinely curious to see, and because of what Evangelion's supposed to be, I'd be genuinely curious to see what a crossover with Ultraman would look like. God damn, I can't talk today.
I know that feeling. I had to drink I had to get coffee to be able to talk fucking properly, so maybe you should get a coffee, Cody.
I don't drink coffee. I just run on pure rage and willpower.
Ah, the Doomslayer.
Yep, pretty much.
Coffee is for the weak.
Yeah. No, it is not. You made me agree to that. What the fuck?
Got him.
That was some Bugs Bunny shit right there.
Oh, fuck yeah. That's one of my favorite characters ever.
Vox the Invader said, Hey, how you doing?
What's up?
Thanks
How
for
you doing?
Okay, anything else you have to say about Ava crossover, Abyss Kaiser?
Fucking doing, Anno. That's all I can say.
And my next pick is gonna be... I don't want to spoil what I'm writing, so I'm gonna remove the screen right there.
Oof.
Oh, you're actually using your brain for once.
Oh, fuck off.
Oh, wait, he has a brain?
Oh, go fuck yourself.
I'm just as surprised as you are.
My next pick would be a crossover between Ultraman Nexus and the 90s Gamera trilogy. And why do I say this? Well, both would essentially be perfect, because one of the things that I compare Ultraman to Nexus to is it's essentially the Dark Knight and the 90s Gamera trilogy of Ultraman, because of the darker tone and all that stuff. And what would make it really work is both are essentially guardians of universes, though Ultraman is more heroic towards people as well, while Gamera mostly just cares about the universe itself and things in it. Ultraman, while protects the universe, he also has more human-like emotions, so he serves more as a hero. But that would work perfectly, since you can have both of them working together to battle something like Gyaos or anything along the lines of that. I think it would be a really perfect collab, especially when you would have the dark nature of the 90s Gamera movies, the violence of them, along with the dark religious symbolism of Nexus.
Particularly Iris.
Yeah, especially Iris, especially since Iris has a bit of a spiritual-like thing going on with him, so...
Yeah.
And he's weird, so he would make perfect for an Ultraman foe. So just think, if the 90s Gamera trilogy, like if it would leave off where the trilogy left and someone else got the power of Nexus, well, in this case, it would be Ultraman Noah, since he's Noah now, back to his powerful form. That would be incredible, and make it where it starts, where it builds up for a bit. Like maybe one Gamera movie, and then essentially someone rediscovers Noah, and then while they discover Noah after all these years, they get this ability to battle them. It'll kind of turn into a apocalyptic-like world with religious-like symbolism of Gyaos and other monsters, until hope comes in, with Noah being unleashed to help Gamera take out the problem.
So, Evangelion without Evangelion.
Yeah, pretty much. But wouldn't that be a perfect mix of Nexus and Heisei Gamera?
Yeah.
What do you think, Cody?
Absolutely. I think that it's a crossover that makes way too much sense. One of the best parts about it would be that you don't have to adhere to the basic crossover formula where two heroes meet, fight each other, and then set their differences aside to team up against a big bad monster. You can do that if you want to, like maybe have Gamera be like, fuck off, and Ultraman's like, whoa, I'm here to help you. But it's, in order to avoid it being too formulaic, maybe they should just skip right to the part where they team up to take on some sort of bad guys. So yeah, I can see it working, be it against Iris, a whole bunch of Gaios, a whole bunch of Baltan controlling the Gaios.
I'll be right back, fellas.
Yeah, and maybe even throw some of the darker Ultras in there, since it'll be an apocalyptic-like world, because Nexus, when it came to its monsters and and Sajin, there was really no distinguish to them other than some could talk, some couldn't. They were all pretty much space demons. That's what they all were. You had Mephisto, you had Faust, you had all of that. And of course, you had Noah, Dark Zagi. It would be perfect for that apocalyptic-like formula that would just really make for something neat and perfect, especially since the Gamera trilogy always had a spiritual-like thing that went on to it, like Asagi's connection with Gamera was spiritual, and overall, it would make for a really perfect mix, in my humble opinion, because you would all, because it would look perfect with that religious aspect Nexus had, and the overall universal saying of Gamera.
Absolutely. So, like I said, it's a crossover that just makes way too much sense.
Yep, but anyway, that's pretty much what I have to say about it, but that would be nice. Especially make it where, another thing I have to say about it is, like, make it where those Dark Ultras are kind of responsible for the Dark Yaos tuning in and such.
Yee.
But anyway, what's a pick from you, Cody?
Okay, so just hear me out on this one. Ultraman crosses over with Archie comics.
Oh, I remember that when I was a kid. Never read them, but I have heard about them.
I've only read like some of the crossovers that they've done with other properties, and it's those said crossovers that makes me think, yeah, I can see a crossover between them working. Just go all out wacky balls to the walls with all the silly zaniness, because Riverdale, the Archie comics are basically all about those kind of weird zany things, especially with their crossovers. Like, they've had some of the most oddest ones, be it with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because Archie Comics had the licensing was right for the original 80s show. They've done it with the Punisher, the fucking Punisher. They've done it with Eminem. They've done it with the Predator, which ended really dark, where after the Predator killed Archie, Betty and Veronica freaking killed the Predator, then carved up his face to make him look like Archie as a replacement. Not kidding.
Jesus.
And they've even crossed over with fucking Kiss. The rock band Kiss.
Yeah, it definitely wouldn't be off the wall to put Ultraman with that, considering they crossed over with just about everything in those comics.
Yes, the most weirdest random fucking things. And let's face it, even though I liked the original Ultraman, it was not without its goofy, silly, zany moments. So take the goofy zaniness of Ultraman and the goofy zaniness of the Archie comics crossovers and interweave them, and you will have magic.
Perfect blend. Vox the Invader said they had one with Sharknado too. Of course they did.
Further proving my point.
Yeah. They could literally mix with everything rather than something goofy, dark, any fucking thing. Wonder how they got so much license for that. That sounds like a copyright nightmare.
Well, maybe it's just because Archie isn't afraid to take chances, and I applaud them for that.
Maybe.
I mean, also, how bizarre would it be if either Archie or Jughead, one of them, somehow got the Beta Cast soul, and even if it was just for a moment, turned to Ultraman?
That would actually be pretty cool, I think. Honestly,
totally.
I'm surprised Archie never got a live-action movie or series at this point.
They have Riverdale, if that counts.
I never heard of that.
Oh. Well, yeah. Put Ultraman in the world of Archie in Riverdale, have him fighting all sorts of monsters. Then you have the Archie kids helping out somehow. It can work. You just need to put your mind to it.
Yeah. But that's the thing about crossovers. You could do a lot with them. It just takes the right execution, no matter how goofy it can be.
Yes.
Anyway, you have anything else to say?
I want this crossover. That's all I got to say.
Okay. I'd have Abyss Kaiser go first, but right now he's not on, so...
I'm here.
Oh, okay, you're next. What's your next one?
Mazinger.
Okay. 1 minute.
Have any of
Now-
y'all watched it, or is just me in here?
I have seen that one show, Shin Mazinger, I think it was the one from the 2000s that you recommended that was on Crunchyroll. I enjoyed it. It was pretty good. There was definitely a lot of Ultraman inspiration when it comes to it, but that's the thing about Super Robot. In general, I feel Ultraman has had a massive impact when it comes to the combat. And
I mean, Go Nagai pretty much has a massive impact on general on anime manga, you could say.
yeah, he's even done a few Toku shows himself I heard about. He was like Shitaro Ishinomori. He flip-flopped between Toku, manga, and anime, though Go Nagai's more well-known for manga and anime, while Shitaro Ishinomori is more well-known for tokusatsu, though he does have some popular anime and manga like Cyborg 01 and Skullman, but as obviously Ishinomori's most famous work is Kamen Rider and Super Sentai. But continue on why it would work.
It just has hardcore violence and blood in it, like the older school Ultraman stuff, and they're both old school as fuck.
Yeah,
and their respective genres, so do it.
Yeah. Plus, there's a lot of things that I would really like to see, especially when you put the power of Mazinger against the power of many Ultras, because the Ultramen are very powerful beings, but so is some Mazingers. So it would be a pretty interesting, especially if they had to fight in some way or work together. Either way, it would work.
It would have to be a really powerful version, because I mean Mazinger's strong, but it wouldn't be that strong against an Ultraman.
Oh yeah. That's true, because Ultraman would clobber him, so they would have to work together.
Yeah.
Okay.
It would be dope, though.
Oh, it would. It would definitely be dope. But my next pick, Vox the Invader said he did hentai too. Of course he did.
He actually did make a special appearance in the live-action Devilman. I know it's complete garbage, but he pulled Stan Lee there.
Yeah, which that was cool. That was.
I'm not even the only thing that was worth a damn about that movie.
And it also inspired some moments in Devilman Crybaby. According to Titan Goji's review.
Oh, that's interesting.
1 minute. Finding my next pick. My next pick would be Pacific Rim. Why? Because the thing is about Pacific Rim, a lot of people think, oh, Evangelion inspired it, which as much as I love Evangelion, and Evangelion has had a massive impact, that wasn't one of the inspirations for Pacific Rim. The inspirations for Pacific Rim essentially shared a lot of Eva's inspirations, being Godzilla, Ultraman, and stuff like it, but Pacific Rim has even more inspiration, since Pacific Rim's is Godzilla, Ultraman, Mazinger, what else? Super
Top
Sentai.
Gun.
Huh?
Top Gun was also an inspiration.
Yeah, Top Gun too. So it would just overall work, because the combat and everything would be nice, especially if you would have aliens sending monsters down, which that's what Pacific Rim is. Aliens send monsters down, like have some Sajin send down some more kaiju to attack the city, and we would get something like Ultraman having to come down and team up with the mechs. We've had Godzilla team up with mechs. So just think about if Ultraman did it, and we would have all that cool military weaponry and heaviness of the Jaegers combined with the superhero strength of Ultraman and all of his outlandish abilities. Just imagine how that would turn out. And especially if you had it where the aliens were sending them down. So they did this collab. One thing I would take down, I know this is technically something I should not add, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Retcon that bullshit in Uprising, where they killed off Mako and Christian, I forgot his character's name, off screen, because that was utter bullshit. They don't even mention the male's name. You have to read a book to know they killed him off. And the way they handled Mako was absolutely piss poor, by having where she shows up, kill her off, and they never do anything with her. Like, still count them, but retcon that bullshit right there, I would do. Because that was dumb. But do something like that where you would have some Sajin of Ultraman, like Yapul, Belial, or anything like that, where they'll send down an enemy and work together just to take down that one threat. It wouldn't be otherworldly either, since aliens, if you watch enough Ultra series, do send down monsters. In fact, sometimes they control the monsters. Ultra Galaxy and modern Ultra shows are a perfect example of that. So they would have help from the military, like the Jaegers, while also featuring the heroes by themselves. Of course, it couldn't be a battle since the Jaegers obviously stand no chance against Ultraman, but it would overall be a very cool team up, to say the least, with the similar combat, but also something more diverse. Also, I would make it where it was kind of a Japanese American product, where it would count both the American Pacific Rim films, which is the only Pacific Rim there is, but you know what I mean. And the Japanese timeline of Ultraman. Well, that being technically the entire timeline, since even Ultraman Powered is a part of that timeline. So if we got that team up where we kind of count both, while also featuring some characters from the Japanese show, like Dan Moroboshi, Gai-san, or anybody like that, that would be a dream crossover, I think.
Yeah, it would be cool. Can't really think of anything to add because you pretty much hit the nail on the head.
Thank you. What about you, Miss Kaiser?
Yeah, it would be great.
Yep. Hell, especially if you watch Pacific Rim to Black with the second season, there's already a lot of crazy supernatural stuff that goes on in that world. Hell, there's some aspects of season 2 of the Black that's straight up horror-like. So it wouldn't be too outlandish to feature someone like Ultraman and the crazy shit that goes on in there.
Another good way to approach a Pacific Rim and Ultraman crossover. I can't remember if you covered this or not before, Joey, but you can do the alternate dimension thing, even though it's been played out, to bring in Ultraman, and it would make sense because the whole premise of the franchise is built on invaders from another dimension coming in and attacking the Earth. So it's not out of the realm to think that in another alternate reality, there's the Ultras.
Yeah, that would be absolutely perfect. Combine that with what Pacific Rim has, you got something cool there. And sequels have done stuff like that before. Like, for example, with Gojira, the first movie in the Godzilla franchise starts off as semi-realistic, other than a giant radioactive monster destroying shit. You do get other things in there. You do get the sequels that take place in that same universe that expanded it with all this crazy stuff that go on. So it wouldn't exactly be the first time something like that happened, so definitely would be appreciated. But that said, what's your next pick, Cody?
My next pick is Superman. Superman and Ultraman.
That's actually perfect, considering both are very, very powerful alien heroes, so...
Yeah. I know there's like an evil universe version of Superman called Ultraman, and I would address that in the crossover where Superman's like, I like you a lot better than the last Ultraman I met.
Okay, that would be perfect.
And I would especially want this to be a comic book because I'm thinking of all the like covers they could do and all the poses. Like Superman does the classic fists on the hips pose, while in the background behind him, Ultraman's doing his Specium beam pose with the crossed hands, and also we're also Superman doing his flying pose with one fist in the air, and behind him, Ultraman's doing his flying pose with both hands out. And yeah, think of all the posable covers they could have.
Agreed. Especially when you kind of combine the outlandish abilities of both, because Superman can do a lot of abilities that a lot of people wouldn't even know if they haven't watched or read it. Ultraman can do a lot of these crazy abilities that you're like, oh, I didn't know he could do that. So they could work together perfectly. Hell, Ultraman could even shrink down to his size and grow when a giant kaiju comes. Just think about that. So
Yeah, there's because of how many crazy powers they have, because of how many crazy powers both guys have, you can either it's like are you okay, Aaron?
Yeah. I'm sorry. It was just when you're saying he shrink down in an area he could grow.
Oh God.
But anyway,
I'm sorry. I could help myself.
It's okay.
God damn it.
Because of how many crazy superpowers Superman and Ultraman both have, you can either go where you play it straight and make it like a serious thing where they're fighting some big threat, like maybe Darkseid attacks the Earth with the Ultra Kaiju, or maybe do a complete zany one where they use all their most ridiculous powers and fight some wacky zany villains, like be it the invulnerable dragon from Krypton and Zeton, or Lex Luthor's doing some sort of kooky, crazy, I want to conquer the world plot. You can do anything with Superman and Ultraman. You just have to have the imagination for it.
Hell, maybe even have it where, like, you remember those Batman meets Spider-Man comics, right?
I remember.
Yeah, where Carnage essentially teamed up with Joker. Like, maybe have it where Lex Luthor and Belial teams up for something. Belial, Bolton, or any big ultra villain like that have to work together to kind of make a plan together to kind of do something with the world. And essentially both heroes have to come and stop them.
Okay,
now I'm just picturing both. Go ahead.
Belial and Darkseid fusion.
Yes! That would be great. Especially
I mean, they did it in the Marvel and DC comics. They did it with Thanos and Darkseid. You can't tell me they could do it with Belial or Belial, whatever you want to call him. And,
yeah, that would be great, especially since Ultraman essentially each time has to fuse with a human in order to be on Earth. Though Belial fusing with Darkseid or Lex Luthor to kind of grow big and stuff like that. That would be incredible. What the fuck?
Grow up, Aaron.
I'm just being a troll right now.
Fuck that. Can't say anything.
I'm just laughing just to troll y'all. I'm not gonna lie.
But that would be badass. But anything else y'all have to add to this?
I was gonna say one thing. When Aaron said Darkseid and Belial combined into one, I think he was meaning like an actual hybrid of them. You know, like how some Ultra monsters will combine into one bigger monster that has similar attributes while still being its own thing. I think that's what Aaron was referred to before.
Yeah, I mean, Darkseid and Thanos did it in those crossover comics, and so did Shao Kahn and Darkseid did it in the Mortal Kombat versus DC game, as bad as it was. Can't tell me they can't do it here. That's all I'm saying.
Right on. So, yeah, Ultraman and Superman crossover. Give it to me now.
Yeah.
Hello?
Oh shit!
Did we?
Yeah, I think we did. Well, fuck.
Well, it's okay because until he comes back, it was your turn to pick a crossover anyway. So go for it, bro.
Shit. I mean, technically, it kind of sort of already happened if you want to lift your ass, but Godzilla. What else?
Oh, yeah. I think that's like one of the most top 10 crossovers that people are asking for. I think even
Begging
people who
for it.
are not, I think people who are even not traditional Godzilla fans or Ultra fans would be like, what the fuck is this? These two guys aren't going to fight each other? I'd be down for that.
Hell yeah. I've been
Yeah,
always wanting. Yeah, I mean, you could say it already happened with Giraffe since it was a reused Godzilla suit, but like, we still want the official fucking actual thing to happen. Comic, movie, whatever, make it happen, motherfuckers.
yeah. That
Uh,
GRS bullshit, even though I love it, is not good enough. We need the legit King of the Monsters and all of his Godzilla glory walking up, and we need him to fight OG Ultraman. Not Seven, not Mebius. We need OG Ultraman fighting the great Godzilla. Let's get these. Let's get this.
Godzilla.
Godzilla.
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, the plot line's pretty. I mean, it has all the same crazy shit like Ultraman does, so it would fucking work just fine.
Totally. Like, say they're fighting a monster and he flies off, and Ultraman flies to kill after him, and Godzilla's like, "Ah, so you think I'm gonna be left out of this? Bitch, no!" And then uses his fucking flamethrower jetpack ability from Godzilla vs. Hedorah to fly after them. Ultraman turns over, he's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
So let's get this shit.
Yeah. Something going on.
Joey, where'd you go, bro?
Yeah, I don't know if he just has shit internet connection or something just came up out of nowhere.
I'm just glad it's not me this time because last stream, fucking, I kept on cutting in and out, and I kept getting delays and shit. So I'm just glad I'm not the one that cut out this time.
Yeah, that's pretty shitty. What were y'all talking about last time? Try to keep it
We were just talking
related.
about Ultraman related. We were talking about good
Okay,
introductions to the Ultra series.
Okay, we were wondering where the hell you went.
Yeah, something about the internet fucked up, and I don't.
I figured I was like, oh, it's probably his internet or something happened.
Oh, okay.
He's back.
Did you say everything? Guys, say everything about Superman?
Yeah,
Yes.
we already talked about Godzilla. We were saying Godzilla next because let's be honest, everyone wants to see it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Reason I haven't said Godzilla is because that might actually be happening, but it's not against the rules since nobody is sure yet.
For sure.
Okay.
I was gonna say it anyway.
Do you have your own 2 cents to say about the crossover there, Joey?
Essentially everything I said about crossover with Godzilla, I said in my Shin Japan Heroes Universe video, so go check that out if you haven't already, but it would definitely work, because for everything that would kind of build upon that, it would just overall be nice, in my opinion. But if what my thoughts if what I have to say about that could work, check out the Shin Japan Hero Universe video.
Yeah.
Right on.
Okay.
So we just did Aaron's next pick, so I guess it's time for your next pick there, Joey.
Yes, indeed. Time to take off the screen so I don't spoil my next pick.
No spoilers!
Yep.
I mean, you technically already did a spoiler of Shin Ultraman.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert,
you,
this is a stream about Ultraman.
I mean, it's not out yet, at least here in America. Chill. I want to chill with that. You know, some people are getting pissy even over one spoiler. That's not that big of a deal.
Yep. But, okay, so my next pick is Mothra. Why? Because though in the original Mothra, there wasn't too much crazy stuff going on with the mythology due to technology and such, but it was still there. If you bring that into later entries of Mothra, like Rebirth of Mothra, the crossovers of Godzilla, that mythical nature could really work with the hero teaming up with Mothra to kind of battle a bigger threat that goes on in there. Like, I know I could kind of be cheating by bringing this up, but Mothra is her own kaiju. She later collabed with Godzilla, so it could still work as a solo entry, but you have all this fantasy world stuff in Mothra, and combine that with the fantasy aspect of Ultraman. Um, in my opinion, I think that would really work in an incarnation because you could have the mythical attacks of Mothra, like that thing she does with her wings, the beams, the reincarnation aspect, combined with the more religious stuff of Ultraman. I think it could make something that's really interesting, especially when if you go as far as taking the Rebirth of Mothra lore and putting it in there.
You're probably waiting for one of us to respond.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
I will say that even though I've never really thought about an Ultraman Mothra crossover, it's not something that's like been gnawing at me per se. I'd still be interested to see what it would look like. I have no idea what it would look like because I, again, never thought about it. But if they can pull it off and it turns out cool, then cool.
Do it.
I like Mothra.
I never really cared for Mothra that much, but do it.
Mothra's one of those kaiju where I was a kid, I wasn't huge on Mothra, but as I grown older, I grew to become quite the fan of her. I'm still more of a Godzilla guy, but I'm also a massive Mothra fan, especially the original movie. The original movie is incredible. It's as good as Godzilla, even.
The original Godzilla movie is Mothra, so it's not great. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, both I think are incredible, both Gogeta and Mothra. But I have no idea too much what it would look like, but I just think with the mythical lore of Ultraman combined with the mythical lore of Mothra, you would kind of get a mix of both worlds. I guess it would kind of be like that crossover I gave of Gamera and Ultraman Nexus, only I would imagine it to be a lot less dark, as even the original Mothra wasn't a dark movie. So you would kind of have the more light. It would be similar to my first concept, but more lighter in tone. You have some humor that goes on here and there, and it would be more of, I guess it would be more of an environmental thing, kind of like Mothra has always been, rather than an apocalyptic nature, like what I mentioned with Gamera and Nexus. Like, maybe have it where aliens or something could take the Mothra twins for whatever they have plans to do with them, and have it where Mothra essentially has to go after them, and Ultraman helps her and needs to help her to kind of get the Shobijin back.
Sounds cool.
Indeed. Okay, so that's my pick. Okay, wouldn't it be Abyss Kai? No, it would be Cody's now.
Yes, si, senor. It is my turn. My next pick is actually going to be Ultraman and the Marvel Comics universe, as in the 666 Comics universe. Or wait a minute, no. What's the main universe in the Marvel multiverse? Is it 606? Whatever. The main
616.
Marvel Comics.
616, is it?
Oh, who cares? Anyways, I want that. I want Ultraman crossing over with the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, S.H.I.E.L.D., all of that. Because a long time ago, whenever Marvel would do a comic book for a licensed property, they would actually integrate it into the main Marvel Comics timeline. That's why you get things like fucking Kiss, again, the rock band, my favorite band, having their own comic book where they meet Doctor Doom and all that good stuff, and where you have fucking Godzilla getting his own comic book run that I've read and have loved. And so I'm just like, we should do that with Ultraman. That's what I was kind of hoping they were going to do when they said that Marvel was doing comic books for Ultraman. But of course, no, they're not cool like that anymore. They're like, we don't play those games anymore, and they kept Ultraman separate from the main Marvel timeline.
Yeah. Which is a shame. I was hoping there would be all these crazy crossovers, especially since you had some official artwork of Spider-Man on Ultraman's shoulder. But you know what? Maybe they'll change. But maybe they'll change their mind down the road.
I'm hoping, but I'm not holding my breath.
Yep. Anything you have to say, Cody?
I think I've already said what I
Well, I
need
meant
to
to say Abyss
say.
Kaiser.
Why the hell does it not happen when they have Marvel doing it? No comics for Ultraman.
Marvel's dumb. Okay, what's your
Down
next
there.
pick?
It's kind of why I wish the property went over to DC instead of Marvel, because DC comparatively is much cooler about crossovers.
They are. Though, better be careful, you'll piss off the MCU stands.
No one
I
cares
ain't
what they
scared. Fucking fight me, MCU stands.
I'll say it right now. Ultraman and Kamen Rider. Ultraman and Kamen Rider. The MCU. MCU is way down here. Ultraman and Kamen Rider up here. I'm gonna say that right now. Come at me.
Oh my gosh, how can you say what you said? Actually, Mr. Tough Guy, Smart Guy,
Pretty much. Okay, so Abyss Kaiser, what's your next pick?
Oh shit. Trying to think.
If you don't have any more, that's fine.
Trying to think. Ultraman and Power Rangers, I guess.
Okay. Power.
I mean, they fight monsters. Shit. Ultraman kind of has that wacky, over the top, goofy shit like Power Rangers. It's almost like the same shit.
Yeah, well, pretty much that would pretty much mean it would be a crossover with Sentai. Yes, Sentai would end up getting the Power Rangers treatment, and they would include an episode with Ultraman in it. But anything you and Cody have to add? Since I know Cody also had this idea.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Meyer to explain, like, my ins and outs about it.
Okay, so, Aaron, you go first.
I don't know. I mean, I just couldn't help but think Power Rangers first time I saw Ultraman, and I'm like, that would be so cool to like see a comic or like a movie crossover between these two fucking franchises.
Well, yeah, that's because Ultraman kind of spawned the Henshin hero thing, and then it went on to stuff like It went for other giant heroes, then it went to Kamen Rider, then Kamen Rider went on to Sentai, and then somewhere way down in the 90s, they started adapting Sentai into Power Rangers. But anything else you have to say, Aaron? Or this going to Cody?
I guess going to Cody.
Okay, so I guess I'll just say it. Yes, Ultraman and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers specifically. One of the things that attracted me to Ultraman originally was the fact that, hey, it's basically a giant Power Ranger fighting Godzilla monsters. That's cool. I want to see more of that. I mean, now I know why it seemed like that, and that, yeah, Ultraman was the OG on this Toku Hero stuff. But still, why this specifically? Because I grew up watching Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. It's still one of my favorite things in the world. Honestly, probably my second favorite show of all time. And again, Power Rangers has some wacky, zany stuff. Ultraman has some wacky, zany stuff. So if you really wanted to go goofy, you could just combine their zaniness together for a big fun spectacle. But I had two specific plots in mind for how a crossover like this could be handled. One, you could just do... Yeah, thank you. Anyways, one, you could do where they act like they were always the same continuity, because like in just one timeline, because those comic books where sometimes they have Spider-Man or Superman teaming up and they'd act like they're the only heroes that ever existed in that universe. And the same again with Spider-Man and Batman comics that you mentioned before, Joey. I figured they could do the same here. Like, Ultraman took place in the 60s, like what the show when the show aired, and Power Rangers is set in the 90s, which would be the default present day. And while Rita's trying to take over the world, all of a sudden Baltan comes in with a whole bunch of Ultra Kaiju to fuck that shit up. And then it leads to a civil war between them, where with the Power Rangers caught in the middle, trying to stop them. It's like they're overwhelmed, and then suddenly Hayata comes in and he becomes Ultraman once again, and he helps them out. There's that. You could do that. It would be cool to see.
Oh yeah, I'd definitely be down. I'd definitely be down for that, because though while I'm openly not a fan of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and I'm more into stuff like Sentai, Kamen Rider, and Ultraman, if we could get at least Power Rangers meets Ultraman, I would be pretty fucking happy, since that would be the closest thing we could get, and it would be nice. But if you guys are finished with Power Rangers, I'll go on about my next
I'm not
pick.
done yet. I am not done yet. I got
let the motherfucker go.
Okay. Ultraman teams with the Dragon Zord and the Megazord to fight Scorpina, Goldar, and fucking whatever Ultra Kaiju you want to throw in there too. Have them all come together in some sort of big open field somewhere, mountain range, whatever, and let them go balls to the walls action. Then have Megazord and Dragon Zord combine with Titanozord, and have them, along with Ultraman firing his Specimen Beam, shoot at all them their monsters and blow them to smithereens. Fuck yeah. And that's the end.
Awesome.
That's the end of my first idea. My second idea for an Ultraman Power Rangers crossover is either one or more villains, maybe from Ultraman, maybe from Power Rangers, maybe both. They all go to the point of origins for the multiverse. They go there specifically to try to rewrite the history of the multiverse to suit their needs. Then have every single incarnation of Power Rangers and every single incarnation of Ultraman, Mebius, Jack, Seven, Tiga, all them motherfuckers, have them combine their might and fight an all-out war at the beginning of the multiverse against all the Power Rangers and Ultraman villains you could think of.
Oh, that would be incredible. Especially if when it came to the whole universe, you would kind of get some power. You would get both the Power Rangers incarnations and the Sentai incarnations, have it where they kind of meet up. That would be pretty nice. And then all that with Ultraman.
Let's get this.
Yep. But got any more?
Now I'm done.
Okay, now time for my pick. I bet I have a very good idea on this. A lot of people want it, but me, definitely. 1 minute. Okay, just give me 1 minute because I am looking that up. It's loading.
Don't hurt yourself now.
1 minute, it's loading. Internet was kind of dog shit, as you guys know, so forgive the length.
Indeed.
Okay. Almost there. Almost fucking there.
Stay on target. Stay on target. Let's go faster.
Yeah. Okay. My next pick would be 1 minute. Wait, that's too small of an image, so let me get a better one.
Boy!
Okay, my next pick, fucking finally, I'm getting there. I'm fucking finally getting there. Is the Gridman universe. This would
Gridman, baby done, baby done.
I don't know why this haven't been done yet, because the thing about Gridman is not only is it very similar to Ultraman, because it kind of uses Ultraman as its template, it's by fucking Subaraya Productions. Both have their own universes, and both fucking And the companies even kind of did their little advertising campaigns with the Ultraman anime and the Gridman anime, though that's not the type of crossover I would want to see. It's like, why can't we have it where Ultraman and the Gridman universe comes in? Like, make it where maybe where Ultraman ends up having to go into that little computer world that's featured in the Gridman world, and like make it where like a villain like Khan Digifer, Alexis, and all that kind of show up to battle monsters with a new threat that's kind of like Khan Digifer and Alexis, but isn't. And have it where you have Ultraman teaming up with Gridman, and I'm not sure how many of you guys seen this, but the series SS Dynazenon, which was a sequel to SS Gridman, which obviously was a sequel to Hyper Agent. So you would have stuff like that, along with the computer world going on, and that kind of like also maybe have it where Ultraman for a while is battling the threats outside of the computer world, while in the computer world, which the same villain would be outside of, would kind of be messing with it to make everything worse, but make it where like the second half, Ultraman has to go into that world to battle the threats in that universe. It would be actually perfect, because maybe I'm getting ahead of myself here, but to make this easier, essentially what I'm saying is have a threat that's outside of the computer world, unlike Khan Digifer and Alexis, where Ultraman would have to end up fighting something that's in the non-digital world, while Gridman would be doing the battles in the digital world, till eventually Ultraman has to use his ability to end up going inside that realm to battle the threat beside Gridman and Dynazenon. You would have Taiju and Sajin working together, and mechs. Just think about how that would work. You get so many cool concepts. What do you guys think?
This sounds beautiful, and I'm sad that it hasn't happened yet.
Same. What about you, Abyss Kaiser?
Too long, did not hear.
Aaron, you's a rude motherfucker.
Hey, at least he's entertaining.
This is true. Very true.
Yeah.
But no, seriously. Hear me out. It starts with a digital entity leaving the digital realm for the sole purpose of escaping Gridman, figuring I can just take over the real world. Nothing to worry about. Only there's Ultraman there. He's like, motherfucker!
Yeah.
But then he finds out, in addition to Ultraman, there's the Ultra Kaiju. So he gathers them up, and he starts to fight, and they start to fight. Ultraman's overwhelmed. Then all of a sudden, Gridman also escapes the digital world, gets Ultraman's back, but during the fight, they somehow get sucked back into the digital world. Shut up, Aaron. Grow up.
He's got a dirty mind whenever he hears suck and grow, because he's been doing a lot of sucking lately. That's why.
Oh, okay, buddy. Jesus Christ.
Aaron?
What?
I gotta say again. You's a rude motherfucker. But you funny as hell.
Either half this world will love me or hate me, and I'm completely fine with that.
Yeah.
What about those who both love and hate you?
Yeah, fuck them.
But continue, Cody.
That was basically it. Like, do every possible combination you can with Ultraman and Gridman, and fucking milk that concept, this idea to its very, very core.
Yep, and maybe make it where Gridman was sort of formed in the digital world as kind of like a computer version of Ultraman. Make that canon. Like, maybe make it where the Ultraman from that realm created him digitally to kind of protect the digital realm. Like,
yeah,
maybe make it
so
where he's the Ultraman of digital.
Make him an official, unofficial Ultraman. I'd be down with that.
I would too, and then you'll have Dinah Zenon working by their side too. It would overall, I think it's crazy Subaraya haven't done this yet, especially since they love to cash in on crossovers. You got two great franchises here that are very similar. Put them together, guys!
Do it!
Yeah, but that's essentially what
Anything?
Huh?
So, Aaron, anything you want to say about this, you lowly tarnished?
Playing as a lord, I command thee kneel! Yeah, Gridman would be cool. There. I said something. Actually good and related. You happy now?
I'm never happy, but that was close.
But that's what I have to say about Gridman and Ultraman collab. What about you guys?
Perhaps.
I already said what I need to say about that crossover too.
Okay, fair enough. But 1 minute.
I guess I.
Okay, continue.
Oh,
I do have one more idea, although it's kind of cheating because we kind of touched on it. But again, much with the Power Rangers things, I wanted to wait until it was my turn to corroborate because I actually had a specific plot in mind.
Go for it.
Ultraman and Godzilla. Now,
Okay.
besides the totally zany, wacky Ano-isms we get from a shit Ultraman and shit Godzilla crossover, which might still happen, we don't know.
Yeah.
I'd want to do, whether it's a movie or a comic book, I don't know. I'd be fine either way. It would be, I would have, again, Ultraman and Godzilla are set in the same universe, and for whatever reason, they just ended up missing each other because they were busy. When one was doing one thing, the other was off busy doing something else. And I'd have explored the idea of people debating whether Godzilla's a hero or not, whether he can be trusted, whether he's a protector, or if he's really like the evil demon that he was made out to be in 54. Because I would have it to where 54 did happen, and like then the second Godzilla came in, and at first he was acting just like him. I guess technically, yeah, it would be set in the Showa series after the end of Terror Mecha Godzilla, and people are, even though the rest of the world seems to be like, yes, Godzilla is definitely on our side. I'd have some people be like, I don't know about that, including members of the Science Patrol, and including Hayata, who is very skeptical of Godzilla. And then, when it comes time for them to meet, I do the inverse of what usually happens in these crossovers. Rather than fight, then team up, I'd have them team up first against a whole bunch of Godzilla monsters and Ultra monsters. And once they're done kicking their asses, they look at each other, and to know who Godzilla is, friend or foe, they decide to have a final battle. Godzilla versus Ultraman. And I would have a definitive winner. Doesn't necessarily mean one of them has to die, but one of them would triumph over the other. Who would it
like
be?
King Kong versus Godzilla.
Yes. Who would it be? Well, I guess I'm just going to leave that up to y'all's imagination.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good.
But either way, at the end, Godzilla would be proven to be not necessarily an ally or hero, but a neutral force who, so long as you stay on his good side, he'll have your back.
Yeah, that sounds good. I actually like I pretty much like all ways of handling Godzilla, but I think with an Ultraman crossover, that would work perfectly.
Godzilla tends to be a neutral character anyway.
Yeah. Vox the Invader said Subudaya should have all their heroes crossover, like Ultraman, Fireman, Mirrorman, Gridman, W.O. Kosaiden, Triple Fighter, Jumborg Ace, etc. Oh, I would definitely be down for that, because like I said, they are very big on collaboration, so...
My question is, why hasn't it happened yet?
Exactly! But that's pretty much what all of my picks. You guys have anything else to add?
I said all mine already.
You, Abyss?
No.
Okay, so with that being said, that was it for this episode. Please comment your thoughts down below, and if you liked it, please smash that like button, share it around, and subscribe. Make sure to hit that bell for notifications.
Smash that like button harder than I smash Joey's mom every night.
Smash that bell for notifications to keep up to date on all my future content. Also, check out my social media accounts and alt tech. Links are in the description below, alongside Anime Anteiku. They have been very helpful to the growth of this channel. This is Gojin the Makai Phantom, leaving the building.
Stay awesome, folks.